Canada is taking proactive steps to stabilize the growth of new international students in Canada. Stay tuned as we will unpack the reasons behind these measures and find out its implications. Hello and welcome to My Consultant, where we give you monthly updates about Canada immigration. We are starting today's episode with a new permanent residency pathway for former minors in protective care, followed by the latest ExpressEntry Draws and Canada's new guidelines on immigration fraud. Next, I will share the measures released by the Canadian government to stabilize the growth of international students in Canada. And Tishina will highlight Canada's new initiatives to support Francophone immigration outside Quebec. This episode of My Consultant is brought to you by Scotiabank.
There's a relatively small amount of individuals who came to Canada as a minor were put into child protection services, never obtaining their citizenship or permanent residence. To avoid the risk of deportation, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, the IRCC, has introduced a new public policy to create a pathway to permanent residence. The public policy will be in effect until January 21st, 2027. This policy will provide a pathway to permanent residence for eligible foreign nationals and their family members in Canada. This new pathway builds on previous measures introduced in the fall of 2023. Eligible individuals previously in child protection services have been able to apply for a temporary resident permit, a TRP, and a work or study permit. Those who were eligible for a TRP will now be able to apply for permanent residence through this pathway.
In the month of January, Canada held two ExpressEntry Draws. The first draw was held on January 10, 2024, in which 1,510 candidates were invited in a general draw. Candidates required a minimum comprehensive ranking system, that is CRS score of 546. In the second draw held on January 23rd, 1,040 candidates were invited with a minimum CRS score of 543. This was again a general draw, meaning that candidates were considered from all ExpressEntry managed programs in this draw.
As a newcomer to Canada, you may not be aware of how certain companies or the government connect to the people. As a resident, your rights and freedoms are protected by the Canadian law. Here's a brief rundown of some of the potential scams you may face and how to deal with them. Be aware of people posing as government staff. If you use caller ID, an agency's number may appear real, but be cautious. Some scam artists are able to use tech to create a fake number that appears real. The IRCC will never contact you over the telephone to collect fees or fines, be aggressive, or threaten to arrest or deport you. Ignore all emails trying to convince you to invest your money with them or to give them your personal banking information. Avoid phone calls or emails offering to fix your computer that they allege has a virus. Never give access to your personal computer to anyone you did not contact for help. If an unknown number calls or texts you saying you've won a contest you've never entered, or if you get text messages that encourage you to reply stop or no to no longer receive these text messages, do not reply. Some scam artists use this tactic to see if they have a real number on their hands. You could either block the number sending you these texts on your own, or you can forward the text to 7726 to allow your cell phone provider to block any future spam text messages from these numbers. If you think the text is real, check the link it is sending you to be sure it is a real and secure website.
International students make significant contributions to Canada's economic and cultural growth. However, in the recent years, there have been challenges to the integrity of international student system in Canada. Some schools in Canada focused on revenue have admitted more students without any adequate support. This surge also strains on healthcare, housing, and other services. To address this, the government is taking some measures to stabilize the growth of international students, ensuring their well-being and maintaining sustainable growth. Canada has announced an immediate 2-year cap on international student permits. Starting September this year, Canada will also stop giving work permits to international students who begin their study program that is a part of a curriculum licensing arrangement. These new measures will be in place for 2 years. The government will reassess the cap in 2025. During this period, the Government of Canada will continue to work with provinces and territories, designated learning institutions, and national education stakeholders on developing a sustainable path forward for international students, including finalizing a recognized institution framework, determining long-term sustainable levels of international students, and ensuring post-secondary institutions are able to provide adequate levels of student housing. According to IRCC, the cap is expected to result in approximately 360,000 approved study permits in 2024, which is a decrease of 35% from 2023. Caps are introduced for each province and territory. IRCC says the caps will be weighted by population, which will result in much more significant decrease in provinces where the international students' population has seen the most insignificant growth of population. The caps will not impact study permit renewals and will not include those pursuing master's or doctoral degrees and elementary and secondary education. The current study permit holders will not be affected by these measures. Further, IRCC stated that the open work permits will only be available to the spouses of international students who are pursuing master's or doctoral degrees. The open work permits will not be available to the spouses of international students who are pursuing other levels of study, such as undergraduate or college programs.
All communities in Canada have a crucial role to play in our society. Coming from the IRCC, Francophone immigration plays an important role in Canada's economic growth and promotes the vitality of Francophone minority communities while meeting the labor needs across the country. To strengthen the presence of French in Canada outside of the province of Quebec, Mark Miller, the Minister of the IRCC, has recently announced a series of initiatives to support Francophone immigration. These measures include a new Francophone immigration policy, the renewal and expansion of the Welcoming Francophone Communities Initiative, a new program to support Francophone immigration, and the implementation of the Action Plan for Official Languages. These initiatives pave the way for ambitious action in the short, medium, and long term that will hopefully enable progress towards restoring and increasing the demographic weight of these communities. Through the renewal of the Welcoming Francophone Communities initiatives, 4 Canadian communities will continue to receive funding to foster the integration of French-speaking newcomers. The new Francophone Immigration Support Program will fund innovative projects to eliminate barriers of Francophone immigration. This will make it easier for Francophone minority communities to participate in international promotion initiatives, give support, as well as recruit French-speaking candidates. And lastly, the Action Plan for Official Languages 2023 to 2028. This initiative is supported by an investment of over $137 million. The implementation of this 5-year strategy highlights the government's priorities for official languages and displays the federal government's commitment to the vitality of Francophone minority communities. The IRCC shares that the Government of Canada will continue to work with provinces, territories, and key stakeholders to strengthen these communities. That's all for this week's episode of My Consultant. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to click the bell icon to subscribe to get notified for our latest episodes and posts. For more information on topics covered in this week's episode, please visit us at MyConsultant.ca, where you can contact an authorized immigration and citizenship consultant. I'm Tashina Thompson.
I am Tina Batra, and we'll see you next month.